the players spoke really loud about what they want. Today, I'm 7 months here talking about the environment or whatever. I think is more than that. When we have these moments, we need to show up. If we don't show up, you can feel it that something has to change. And you are not going to change 22 players again.
It's only 3 games into the season. It feels like it's 30 games into the season. It feels like last season has just been continued into this season. And I tell you what, after that game against Grimsby, Ruben Amorim looks genuinely broken. Now, there's a few things I want to say about Amorim, about him as a person, about his tactics, about the players, about what's next. And I want you to let me know what you think genuinely happens next. Because isn't it ridiculous at Manchester United how so much can change, but nothing ever really changes? That's what it feels like to me. Like, again, we've got a manager who comes in fresh-faced, looking happy, he's excited. He's basically got his dream job that he didn't want, but he came in mid-season because he didn't want to miss out on it. To a manager who, like, I've seen plenty of post-match interviews, we all have, of managers after big defeats, after shocking moments, after humiliations. But I don't think any one of those interviews has ever had the body language that I saw from Ruben Amorim after that Grimsby game. And just listen to this clip here. And this is him speaking to MUTV, right?
When everything is so important in our club and you try to do everything, you have come from the preseason, even Arsenal, you can lose the game, but you are there, you are improving, you see the performance. But then reach this kind of game, we are when everything is so important in our club and we start the game like this. I think my players are talking really loud about what they want, so I'm really sorry about to our fans. I have nothing to say anymore.
He was genuinely lost in his post-match interviews, or more to the point, maybe not lost, but he couldn't say what he really wanted to say, saying that the players have done their talking. And for Ruben Amorim, he's sitting there going, look, right, so we've just gone on a pre-season tour, right? We've kicked players out of the club that I don't think should be there anymore. We've brought in some really big characters, Premier League proven and experienced, the right sort of players that I think are ready to play for Manchester United. We bring those in. We have a positive pre-season. Was it a perfect pre-season? No, it wasn't. Okay, we go into the season, and then the first game of the season, we go and play like we played against Arsenal. He goes, well, I can tell you what, that's quite a lot of positives we can take from that game. Thought United actually dominated the majority of the game. If we finished our chances, we would have won that game of football. And we heard that so many times last season. But then 2 games later, you go and put in that sort of performance against Grimsby, which goes against everything that we've been working on in pre-season, everything that you showed against Arsenal, and something else takes over. What am I supposed to do about that? That's what that post-match interview was. It was a manager who was completely lost of new ideas, because every idea he's had so far has been gearing up towards this season, has been gearing up towards everything that's happened behind the scenes. And look, you can say what you want about Ruben and his tactics, which I'll speak about next. But I know he's done a hell of a lot of good for the actual culture of this club in resetting a few things, in kicking the wrong people out and bringing the right people in. I think the squad's in a significantly better position. Still needs a shit ton of work, though. We all agree on that. But Ruben saying this, for me, was probably the most important part of that post-match interview. Saying that if something has to, or I say something has to change, and you're not going to change 22 players again. I think he's worked with Jim Ratcliffe. He's worked with Ineos. Now, if you remember the interview that Jim Ratcliffe did with the BBC with Dan Roan a while ago, was speaking about, you can tell that Ratcliffe genuinely admires Amorim as a coach, because I think he sees a lot of the stuff that goes on behind the scenes that we aren't privy to, the stuff that happens in Carrington, stuff that happens in the training ground. Now, when it comes to his flaws, I think it's quite clear and obvious now that the system's not going to work in its current iteration. This isn't to say scrap it up and throw it out the window. Will he be given the opportunity to tweak it? I suppose we'll find out during the international break, but it really wouldn't surprise me. From how Ineos and Ratcliffe have acted so far in the last year, when it comes to cutthroat decisions, when it comes to the redundancies, and when it comes to anything else they've done, it wouldn't surprise me if they did the same thing again here. But I would be terrified as to what's going next, because this is another manager that has been swallowed by the scars of trying to revive Manchester United. I can't even put my finger on it anymore. I really, really can't. Like, I want to be able to say, oh, it's so easy, man. Like, the players just down tools. Look, they can do it against Arsenal, do it against Grimsby. I don't think they down tools against Grimsby. It's like there's some sort of demon inside them that takes over in these sorts of occasions where you're playing a team that's really basically playing for their life, in their game of their life, and you just can't do anything against it. It's not because the players aren't fit enough, because they showed in the preseason that they are fit enough. There's some sort of intangible, untouchable, unhealable damage that's been done. It's even deep-rooted past this squad, really, because so much of this squad now is Ruben Amorim's. Not all of it, given. But a lot of it is. It feels to me like the only thing that can possibly heal Manchester United is winning again. Like, no amount of change to the squad, or a new training ground, or a new stadium, or a new manager, or a new director of football, or a new anything is really going to bring about the change that heals United and gets us past this point. But the only thing that gets us past this point is winning. And the only thing I think that's actually going to heal us is winning. So what do you do? Where do you turn? What's next? That's why Ruben, for me, looked so defeated in his post-match interview. And I think he almost felt betrayed, if I'm being completely honest, by those players. He goes, how can you possibly say and do what you've done in that pre-season tour and all the work that we put in, all the conversations and the meetings we've had, and how can you do that against Arsenal? And then you play like you did in that first half against Grimsby, because it was like one of the worst first halves you'd ever see. Like, you had Maguire and Fredrickson running into each other. Ahmad, who couldn't keep a touch within 5 yards of him, second to every second ball, second in every 50-50 battle, and it's those fundamentals and the basics that come to the surface when you get to a game like that. I don't know what's next, but Ruben Amorim looked genuinely completely broken. Out of ideas. Anything that he's built to his career so far in terms of man management, in terms of installing this and doing that, and everything that it should lead towards, has not led towards it at United. Let me know what you think in the comments, but it's I'd say this is probably the lowest I've felt under any manager post-Fergie, really. No, actually, I think the lowest I felt was probably the end of Solskjaer. That really, really cut. But this is brutal. Let me know what you think in the chat.